Hello and welcome to Jadal Kabiro Unfiltered. My name is Jadal Kabiro. Here we talk about stories making our headlines every single Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I'm grateful that you keep us company every single week, not just on my show, but also on this channel. So many of you have been commenting, sharing, leaving likes, and I don't take that for granted. In case I don't say that as much, I don't take it for granted. I have names here, Morris, I have Maxime, I have Cecilia, I have Mureithi. I'm so grateful. Red Oak Pictures. Thank you so much for the comments you leave every single time I have these conversations directly with you. Today we are talking about King Ruto, President William Ruto. Mfalme, Gachagua told us he's the Mfalme of this country. A man now who doesn't need permission to do what he damn well pleases in his administration. Not according to me, according to the Controller of Budget, Dr. Margaret Nyakango. She says that 51 billion shillings, mark that figure, 51 billion shillings has been used by this administration last year between July and December without the approval of Parliament or the control or her office as the Controller of Budget. Why? How? She's saying that the government is using a legal loophole in Article 223 of the Constitution, which allows ministries and state departments to access additional funding if the amount appropriated is insufficient or if need arises. Also in the same article, money can be withdrawn for contingencies fund in case there is an emergency. Now this is Article 223 of the Constitution. However, the approval of Parliament for any spending under the same article should be sought within 2 months of the withdrawals. Now, according to the Control of Budget, out of these 51 billion shillings that Ruto's administration has used without approval, only 3.29 billion had approvals. A simple fraction. Why? Because President William Ruto's administration doesn't need anyone's approval or permission. He said that regarding the affordable housing. Remember, he said people elected me and they knew what I had planned, and therefore I don't really care what our courts say. This is what the government used in spending this money.
At State House, the report shows that on the 23rd of October, State House accessed 700 million shillings for the construction of a modern presidential dais at State House Gardens. In July, 400 million shillings was allocated to State House for the purchase of motor vehicles. In August, the State Department for the EAC was allocated 16.3 million shillings for the purchase of a vehicle for a CS. 1.82 billion shillings was used for the stabilization of petroleum pump prices for August and September 2023. A further 2.4 billion shillings went to the purchase of relief food and non-food items by the State Department of Arid and Semi-Arid Lands and Regional Development, where the Ministry of Defense accessed 200 million shillings for support response to El Nino rains. The State Department for Crop and Development was given 2.24 billion shillings for the procurement of maize drying and storage facilities, and 1.58 billion shillings was approved by Treasury for the renovation of the KICC ahead of last year's African Climate Summit held there.
Boy, oh boy, we inherited a dilapidated economy. Our coffers were empty. Uhuru spoiled us with reggae and BBI. That's why we don't have money. Our economy was destroyed. That is Citizen TV, by the way. July, 400 million shillings for motor vehicles. EAC State Department, 16.3 billion shillings. For motor vehicles. Actually, it's one car for a CS. 200 million Ministry of Defense for El Nino, which, by the way, didn't happen, even though our president prayed for some rains. 1.58 billion to renovate KICC. Our coffers are still empty.
We found ourselves in a hole. We are going to have a good discussion. We are putting the figures into place, who took what and where, so that the people of Kenya can know. To be fair to everybody, how do people expect a government to fix a 10-year mess in 1 year? A mess of 10 years. through state capture, conflict of interest, outright theft of public resources.
When Kibaki left office, tax as a percentage of GDP was 23%. By 2022, tax as a percentage of GDP was 14%. It had come down from 23% tax as a percentage of GDP to 14% tax as a percentage of GDP. And that is why we sank into debt.
It is very difficult to believe our Mfalme. It is very difficult to believe Rigathi Gachagua too. Because if our economy wasn't doing well, if the coffers were indeed empty, where is physical discipline? Why are we in a place of wastage? Are they simply lying to us, or is our economy doing badly? President William Ruto, in Naivasha retreat, goes ahead and scolds our members of parliament, those in Kenya Kwanza administration, saying they are indisciplined, because that is what absenteeism is, indiscipline. He says these people are absent, bills are getting delayed, they don't know their constituencies, they're just in Nairobi. But the problem is at the top too. If you don't have discipline at the top, members of parliament are saying it, are saying this.
I know there is always a temptation to do what politicians do, and that is to focus at the next election. I want to urge you, let's do what leaders would do. Let's focus at the transformation of our country, and let us focus at what contribution we can make to change the destiny of our country by focusing on the next generation.
Well, that is President William Ruto in Naivasha for the Kenya Kwanza's administration retreat, meeting parliamentarians, cabinet secretaries. On Tuesday, they met governors. People wondering why they have to go to Vasha for a retreat. Isn't it expensive? This is something you can send on emails. But I will not go there. Everyone has the same argument. Let me not complain as everyone else. But this is what I'm saying. We need discipline at the top first. I can see your piece. I can see what you want to do. But your actions are not matching your words. Your actions, let me say that again, but slowly, are not matching your words. And if there's one thing everyone knows since they learned how to speak or learned how to listen is actions speak louder than words. But I'm in no place to speak to the president the way I want to, even though he does what he wants to, because he's the president, he's our symbol, we respect him, he's our Mfalme. But my message today is to Dr. Margaret Nyakango, who was intimidated, arrested, scared in December, getting arrested in Nairobi, taken to Mombasa, arraigned in Nairobi. My message is to you, Margaret. Continue doing what you're doing. Continue shining your light in darkness. Do not relent. Expose them. Even though nothing will be done, and we know nothing will be done now, something will be done in the future. And people will remember what you're doing. I saw that you refused to allocate the 700 million that was asked by the State House, to construct the presidential dais. I saw you refused that. We are seeing what you're doing in Kisii. MCAs want some per diems there, and you're thinking, why do they need it? You have refused that too. Light will always outdo darkness. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Justice always prevails. We are seeing cases from 1960s, 1980s. Even now in America, you're seeing the conversation they're having about people that their parents or grandparents were slaves. These things are always revisited. So if Ruto's administration think they can do what they want, that law will not catch up with them. Mkono ya sheria. Continue shedding light. So many people have talked about the president. So many have tried to advise this administration. I will not take that route today, maybe sometime in the future. But everyone who is in office, ask Dr. Margaret Nyakango, do what she's doing. Shed light now. Expose them. Do not worry about justice. Mkono itawafikia. Thank you for tuning in to Jadal Kabiro Unfiltered. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about this administration? 51 billion shillings. 3.2 only approved. Till we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.